A soul generated by love.
Oh, nice.
Thanks, that's high.
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Daryl, you're.
And the four-way test, please.
Is it the truth?
Truth.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better
Good.
friendships?
Friendships.
Will it be beneficial?
Beneficial to all concerned.
Our note taker this week is Mary Hodson. Thank you for being here, Mary. Our Decker Garden weeding is Ed Perry.
Hey, Ed, what time are you going out there? I'll meet you out there and help.
Haven't figured that out yet.
All right.
All right.
I'll send you an email.
Okay, buddy.
I know I had Diana last week, but she's a lot closer to this week one. Anyway, I think we tried to sing. I think I tried to sing last week to Diana, so I think that's all plenty. Our bucket money this month goes to Champaign Township Angel Fund, Cunningham Township. I'm not doing well this morning, am I?
Oh, you're all right.
Just some coffee.
Yeah, you need more of that. Oh, you can't have
This
it.
brings us to our guest speaker.
There we go.
There we are.
I'm trying to get out of.
You're good.
You're good.
There we go. And Dean is he's retired from the Illinois State University
Yes, sir.
as a staff person and a faculty member, right? Kind of a combo of both.
Both, actually.
That's what I thought. Faculty and staff. I met
That's
Dean,
where my money went.
I met Dean through the Champaign County Sports Car Club, and he is like, if you ever have any interest in this, Dean is the most accommodating, helpful friend. I mean, I had no clue until Dean sat in the passenger seat and gently guided me through a couple runs. Anyway, he's going to tell us today about the Sports Car Club, and I'm going to ask you all to mute yourselves until we get to questions, so we're not things up.
Daryl, I think you just muted yourself as you were talking.
Really, Dean, take it away and tell us a little more about yourself. The rest of you now mute yourself. I was a step ahead on the mute key there.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Daryl,
Good
thank you
morning.
very much for the invitation. I am wearing one of our event T-shirts. One of the things that our club does is we provide almost $3,000 of scholarship monies to Parkland College Auto Tech students. Fall and spring during the school year, we run a scholarship application process, and we give a maximum of $750 to a student through this application process. So we are a not-for-profit organization. We try to do some community good. And one of the things that I've always loved about Champaign County Sports Car Club is the Autocross event that we are pretty much known for. You can see my virtual background there. That's what we call the grid. So that's where the cars are sitting, getting ready to go run out and do their little business out on the course. You can see my virtual background there with, that happens to be the car that I got late last fall. That is my new, it's a 2017 Corvette. So that's the one that I'm going to be racing these days. But just a quick footnote for you, folks, I get beat every day I go out by a Miata. Not Daryl's Miata, but a Miata. So it's not, it's not about the horsepower. It's not about the exotic sports cars. Autocross is intended to be the average person's outlet for a little bit of sports car fun on the weekends. It's intended to be low risk from a an automobile racing standpoint. and it's intended to be fairly affordable. Even as a non-member, you're only spending about 50 bucks for the entire day. And we are, our format lets you work half the day, so you're on course doing something, typically tipping up cones. But the exciting thing about working course is you get to see other folks, see what they do, see how this sport works. And then you'll get to drive the last half the day or when you're not working. And we try to get you out on course at least 8 times during the day. Typical course is about 60 seconds. And you say, oh my gosh, 60 seconds, that's not so much. Oh my goodness, it's a lot of time when you're sitting there and you're weaving between cones and you're trying to do your thing. It's much longer than you think it is. And I'm typically tired after every run. So Champaign County Sports Car Club was founded in May of 1957. We are one of the oldest continuous running sports car clubs, certainly in the area. We've had our up years and our down years, and right now we're considering this kind of a rebuilding time. The sport seems to have been taken a little bit of a lull. Probably 3-4 years ago, we're starting to spin up our social media. Daryl has been giving me a number of ideas and provided some wonderful images. He comes out, that's actually his job for us. When he comes out, we assign him a big long lens and a camera, and he puts his magic onto images for us. So we're a volunteer organization, as many community organizations are. We're not for profit. Last year, 2019, we had about 100 paid members. And if you're a paid member in the club, so it only costs 20 bucks to join as a member. And if you're a paid member, you get to run for end of the year trophies. You get to accumulate points. And we have, you know, just like any other racing sort of thing, all kinds of different categories and all kinds of different ways that you can accumulate points and be recognized for doing fantastic things or for doing not so fantastic things, which this is one of the fun things that we do. This really wasn't on my program, but y'all got me thinking. This is kind of fun. I want to show you this. This, it's a bowling pin. We call it the bowling award. So the club member who hits the most cones, that's the most cones, which is the most penalties for the year, gets to keep this until the next year. And then they have to tally up all the cones that everybody hits and pass this off to the next person. I did not win this. The person who won this did not show up to the event where we handed it off, so I have to give it to him this weekend. Yes.
Sure.
It's become a fixture. Did somebody have a question or a comment? Oh, okay. So would you all like to see a video of, it's a windshield video. I typically take, I put my GoPro or I have cameras right where the rear view mirror is. So you can see the hood of my car and then you can see the,
Yeah.
Okay. They're typically very short videos.
Cool.
Awesome. Bring it, Dean.
All right, let me find my Zoom. Am I going to be able to share my screen, sir?
You fell asleep.
You're muted, Daryl.
Unmute yourself, Daryl.
All right, you're going to get to see the wide expanse.
Mary Kay gets car sick.
Okay, so this just happens to be one of my runs. This was in August of last year, we're out at the Chanute Air Force Base, the Rantoul Private Airfield. That hangar that you're looking at straight ahead is Hangar 2. So we're running on a space called Ramp 2. It's about 10 acres of concrete, and folks are calling this the best surface in the Midwest, outside of Lincoln, Nebraska, where Nationals run. And you'll notice it almost looks like I know what I'm doing here. There, I almost ran into a couple of cones on the outside of that turn. But we've got a series of elements that you have to navigate through. There's slaloms, there's offsets, 180s, 90s, a number of different agility sort of activities for you and your car to see how agile you are. We like to call this an exercise of agility. So the race part is I just got a time for that, and I am competing against other cars that might be in my class or might be out for the day. And you'll notice there's a variation of all kinds of different vehicles. There happens to be a couple of Corvettes there. This number 6 car, this red one, that was Clark Walker. He's one of our top drivers in the club. He's actually gotten rid of that V8 BMW, and he's now driving a 4-cylinder Civic. So go figure.
Okay.
You know? It's not all about the power cars. It's very often. All right, so this one's going to be a little weird. Let's see if I can get a little bit past that. There we go. We had a drone pilot come out one day last year. We got approval from the airport to fly below 400 feet. And what we're trying to do is put together some raw footage here for an advertising video that we want to put together. And Daryl's been very helpful in trying to find some images and ship me some video bits for that as well. But the way that this was shot, you can see the course, you can see the site from a different perspective and get a little understanding of how big the space is and kind of what we do. Wow. I can't watch that for very long, the way that it was shot, because it makes me a little motion sick as well. But I did enjoy a whole lot seeing an event and a car going through our course from this perspective. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How many cones did the drone pilot collect?
Almost 2 from what I remember. He was bouncing on the ground and hovering just a little bit too low a couple times.
Dean, what's the actual top speed on the course?
So that's a great question. You notice that there are so many curves and so many elements that you have to navigate around. Every once in a while, we will put what's called a sweeper curve, or a little bit of a offset that if you shoot the window through this perceived straight, you might be able to hit 70 miles an hour.
Oh.
So most of the time you're navigating the course at 35 to 40 miles an hour. That's the typical speeds. Let's see if I've got, let's see, I think it was this one. So this video actually comes straight off of my new black car. It's got what's called a performance data recorder built into it. So I just push a button and I get all of this stuff saved onto an SD card, which
That's pretty cool.
That's neat.
isn't that pretty dang cool?
Yeah.
So right up at the top, you can see the speeds.
Okay.
You can see over on the left in the bottom, you can see G-forces that we're moving against. So we're in, it's kind of like a flat two-dimensional roller coaster is what this feels like. So we're not going up and down, but we're definitely doing this left and right thing. And this is, I always ask folks if they can ride roller coasters before they ride with me.
Yeah.
And you see, I think I just went off course there, but
Not you.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So folks, I'm pretty good at this. I am definitely not national caliber, or I'm not one of the top drivers in our course, but I love to talk about it. I love to coach folks. I'm pretty good at it. We assign single-digit numbers to club members based on how they landed the year before. So in 2019, I was in 7th place in the club. That little silver car you saw just go by, that's Jane Vinton. She is one of our best drivers in the club.
Wow.
She got #1 last year. And I don't recognize any other top tier cars in the view right now. But you can see we've got a pretty good collection of folks.
Jane races in the same class I'm in, right?
No, her car is a little more powerful than yours. You're running in what's called E Street, and she's typically in what's called C Street. That was my wife, by the way. She was out taking pictures that day.
I'm in C.
Say what?
I said I'm in C, which is why, you know.
You are.
And Jane always takes first in my class. I've just gotten used to that. You know, that's, you know, just.
That's when you're racing against Jane, you just put your tail between your legs and don't look like a fool. That's about it.
So helmets are required for everyone, I assume?
Yes, we do require helmets. I was going to talk a little bit about our safety program because, you know, that's, folks always say, oh my gosh, you're racing and how dangerous is that? And oh my goodness. And yeah, folks, we've got insurance for events. We've got insurance for our board folks for making dumb decisions. Seems to be a time in our history where insurance is a necessary thing. So we do have a safety program that we run folks through. Sports Car Club of America is kind of the inspiration, and we use their rules for how we class cars and how we do a lot of our business, and then we tweak it to the way we want to do things. We typically are more conservative with things that they do. So SCCA, Sports Car Club of America, is the national organization that runs autocross events. They run nationals, they run regionals. So it's kind of a big deal. Their national event brings about 1,500 drivers to it for a week.
Wow.
So it's kind of a big deal. We've got a number of nationally ranked drivers in our club, and it is humbling to watch them sling their cars around. It's a lot of fun. But we've got about 20 people who have gone through a safety certification process. This year I'm running the safety program because we lost some of our experienced folks. So this is kind of a rebuilding year. Folks are going to be a little annoyed with me because I'm going to be yelling at them a lot. The last couple of years we were not paying attention to some of the details that we should have been. So we're gonna be way safe. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
What modifications have you made to your 2017, if any? What modifications have you made to your 2017 Corvette, if any?
Very sticky tires. That's it. That's absolutely it.
What kind are they?
They're Bridgestone RE71s. And what I've actually done is I've downsized the back tires by about 30 millimeters per side. And I've increased the front by about 20 millimeters per side. So I've been talking to the nationally ranked guys who drive this same car, and they're telling me that 305 19-inch tires are the way to go, and the same size all the way around. So that way you can get better wear on the tires. But you need to be careful in this sport because there's about 25 different classes that your car can fall into. And depending on what you do to it, you might do that one little thing that bumps you up into that class that becomes a money pit. And
Are you able to do those modifications with your tires at your own place?
No, I actually work with one of our sponsors, Discount Tire here in Bloomington Normal.
Okay.
So I've just got a different set of wheels with the tires mounted on it. So on race days, I'll drop my race tires on and drive out, do my business, and come home. So if I'm driving the car, you know, around or having fun, I'll swap back over to my everyday tires.
So you'll run from Bloomington to Rantoul with your race tires on?
Yeah, they're 200 treadwear rated tires. They're DOT certified, so they do get a little squirrely and lots of rain, but otherwise they're just rock sponges and they throw things everywhere. That's all.
Dean, if people have a race or a sport performance mode on their vehicles, are they allowed to use them?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that comes with your car, if you're running in a stock or a street class, is yours to use. So yeah, I'm running in one of the highest street classes called Super Sport, Super Street. And I've got all kinds of little programmy dealy bops in the Corvette that comes from the factory. So I can run it all the way over to track mode and release all of the traction nannies. And then it's just, you know, me in the car and hope I've got grip to do what I want to do.
But can't people have a really good time if they come out there in their Prius or Corolla?
So a couple of years ago, somebody showed up with a Chevy Bolt and a Toyota Prius. And that was a moment of enlightenment for me. Here I am with my, big V6 Infinity car and making all kinds of good noises. And I'm watching those folks. It's like when they take off from the starting line, it's like somebody hits them with a bat and they are just launched. And that's the way electric motors work. It's instant torque all the time. And I was just amazed at how well both of those cars did. But that's the whole intent for this car. And this club, this sport is, if you feel like being that, NASCAR race car driver for a weekend, come out and give it a try. Bring your grocery getter with you, right? This is the fun part. Now, is there a chance that you could break it? Yes, because this is an adult sport. This is piloted land missiles called cars. So is there a chance that you could break it? Absolutely. Do cars get broken every day? No. Expect to wear out your tires. If you're bringing your street car with your street tires, I estimate between 500 and 1,000 miles of wear on your tires in one day. And that's just the way it works, right? You're zipping around turns, you're scrubbing rubber off. But you can do it. And that's what this whole sport was intended to be, was you're tired of toting the kids and groceries around, bring your car out, not a minivan or not an SUV, it's gotta be a car. We can class it, you can drive it. One of the coolest things, and this is one of the things that I wanted to get to with you all, was this sport is a fantastic way to learn how to drive your car. And I see a lot of seasoned folks around here. I'm sure you've been driving for more than 30 years, many of us, and you say, well, I know how to drive. But you know, how many times have you been in a near accident and you feel your whole body kind of tense and you're puckering and it's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? What am I going to do? I started my son driving autocross 2 weeks after he got his permit. And frankly, he didn't care whether he would do this or not. He's not a car guy. He doesn't really care about cars and about racing. But the value for me as a parent to get him out doing this was I rode with him last season, in the summer of 2019, in my silver Corvette. He was out busting up that course like a professional, lost his mind and spun the car and part of the course. First thing I did was I looked at him. He was unfettered. He was unflustered. He had complete control and composure. He did a little look around, got his bearings, and took off again. And how valuable would that be for every driver on the road to actually have a good sense in emergency situations for how your car works, have your wits about you for even a half a second longer than the normal driver, and possibly be able to avoid a collision, avoid a tree, minimize damage to property and people because you've had some good experience and some training. So whenever I talk to younger folks and younger parents about their 15, 16-year-old youngins, I definitely ask them to consider doing this. And as a quick segue, I've also been asked to be a instructor with the Tire Rack Street Survival course that happens over in Peoria. I did that last summer, and I had a couple of 15-year-olds where I made them do all of these things to their car. And you want to talk about young folks freaking out and then learning how the car works and then developing a little bit of calm in a storm. It was fantastic to watch that maturity of a driver happen.
Sure.
So as you can tell, I don't have very much to talk about, and you know, so I like to stop and ask folks if they've got any questions or anything at all.
I have one, Dean.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the membership. Is the membership limited to Central Illinois, just Illinois, or do you have members and participants from out of state and everything?
So autocross is one of those sports where there are very few prime locations for where you can do the sport. So people typically drive 3, 4, 6 hours to go to an event for a weekend. So we have members all over the Midwest. We don't care where you're from. If you want to join the club, you're a member, right? It's easy. Oh, for anybody who wants to see some of the links that are relevant to us, I pasted those into the Zoom chat window. So if you open up the chat window, there's 3 or 4 links there. I linked you to my YouTube channel if you want to see some other videos. Axware Systems is how we do our registration membership for events. And then I posted a couple of our websites for the car club itself.
Dean, why don't you also mention that in a normal year, there's an autocross school, and then I know it's been on hiatus, but mention rallies.
Absolutely. Good points, Daryl. Thank you. So typically we start our season in March. We are usually the first autocross event in Illinois, in fact, the Midwest, in a season. And we're also the last because we do another one in November. We usually get folks out, see what the autocross is in March, and then in April we do a school. If as a novice or beginner student, you're involved with things all day long. We start with a morning in the classroom. We've got some of our advanced and seasoned drivers doing classroom instruction and trying to get you to understand how tires grip and the dynamics of car control. Then we all have lunch, and as a beginning student, you get paired up with a coach, and that coach is with you all afternoon. They're going to ride with you. They're going to watch you from outside the car. And if you let them, they will drive your car and show you kind of what your car can do. Because typically, certainly, if we're just out getting groceries, we're using 20% of the capability of our vehicle. This sport, we're trying to push as close to 10/10 as we can for the vehicle and the driver. You put a different driver in that same car, 10/10 becomes something different, something usually more advanced. So we try to let folks understand that what they think is at the limit is really at their personal limit. You know, I use golf analogies all the time. You're pretty much, this is a solo sport. You are racing against yourself and your own capabilities. We also have an advanced version of that course, which is in the morning. So in the morning, we have intermediate to slightly advanced drivers who are being mated up with more advanced drivers in the club. Now, our version of an advanced course is you are trying to work on one or two things as a driver. Maybe you're trying to relearn the idea of looking ahead and predicting the course. Maybe you've gotten sloppy with your gas or your brake techniques and you need somebody to help watch you on the steering wheel, apply your brakes, things of that nature. So it's a half a day of in-car coaching with whatever you think you need help with. Then typically those advanced drivers are the ones who are the coaches for the beginners. I learned so much being a coach. It was fantastic. I spent probably 30 runs one day through a course, and you really begin looking at different cars, different drivers, looking at the different elements in different ways. So
Cool.
Dean,
so
it's
yeah.
been
I'm
a
sorry.
while since I've autocrossed, but I used to love it. And the one thing that I was always struck by with that is there are very few activities that demand singular concentration like that 1 minute of an autocross run. It's like you said, it's very intense, and it's kind of a relief to be able to clear your mind and just focus on one single thing like that.
It is. And as we're coaching new drivers, you are trying to focus all of your brain power on the thousands of decisions and millions of inputs that you are getting during that 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Our brains, our bodies are amazing in calculating and reacting to external stimulus. It's enlightening to see a good driver do good things, and as an individual, you remember how you started and then how you've progressed, and it's kind of cool. It's really kind of cool.
You wish for in my case, I was just getting into the zone about the time I would break the timing light at the end, and you think, man, I wish this was a little bit longer.
One of the things that I started doing a couple seasons ago was try to put myself in what's called a nationals mentality, which is 3 runs. Your first 3 runs of the day are the only thing that counts. And when you start doing that, you start thinking about the course, you start prepping for it, you start getting into the zone much differently than if you're just showing up, you know you've got 8 runs, maybe you'll dial it in by the 7th or 8th time, right?
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Dean, touch briefly on rallies. That's a little less scary for some folks to get their foot wet.
Rallies, I did my first rally last year. So this club was kind of built on, it used to be about 80% rallies and about 20% autocross and high speed sort of things. The rally is basically a game of clue and clues that will wander you through about 100 miles of countryside around the east side of Illinois. And it's a time distance based event. So there are checkpoints along the way. And your goal is to go from one checkpoint to the next in the perfect amount of time. And the perfect amount of time is whatever the rally master has defined to be perfect. And for every second that you are off, either early or late, you get 1 point. So the person, it's like golf, at the end of the day, the person with the fewer points wins. So my wife and I did that last fall. We were trying to restart the rally program. Russ Bedford, who's been in the club for 30 years, I know. Russ was the rally master, and it was a hoot. There's not a limit on the number of people in your car. You don't have to wear helmets. You need a driver and a navigator because the instructions are complex enough that one person really can't do this. And depending on what class you're in, you could use a GPS or not. Remember, rally was developed back in the days before GPS, and really, as a novice, GPS is just the one that runs in your car so you can see streets. It was an amazing advantage. We actually did pretty well on our first event, Deb and I, and we're going to do it again. The problem is the club is having an incredibly difficult time getting interest in rallies, getting folks to sign up, and actually trying to make that program financially viable so it can at least pay for its own trophies. Right now, the autocross side of the house is pretty much financing the rally side. So, but rallies, you know, watch our Facebook page. Oh, I didn't put a link for our Facebook page, but if this thing excites you, or if you're interested in this at all, Champaign County Sports Car Club out on Facebook, definitely like us and follow us. The website usually follows behind Facebook. The website, we're finding not many folks visit. They like Instagram, they like Facebook, they like the social media instantness of what's going on. So we've been putting more of our effort in that direction.
Any last questions as we, and I'm sure Dean, if you go to the Facebook page, you'll be happy to answer any questions there. But is there a last question before we wrap up today?
Let me give you an email address if you've got any questions. If you check the chat window, it's depluma@yahoo.com.
Great. Thank you, Dean.
I'm happy to chat with any of you. Since I only know about 2 of you, I think, maybe 3 of you, just tell me that you met me at the Sunshine Rotary and you want to chat about something. Okay?
Okay. Once again, if everyone can make sure that you say hi to Jared up there.
Jared.
It's a new face. We're excited.
Absolutely.
And Jared, just don't be dismayed here, but we have a tradition sort of Carrie kind of sends us off for the week. Carrie, what you got for us?
Well, you know, I was thinking nowadays, even with everything going on in the world currently, we have so much stuff to to keep us busy. We have the internet. We have hundreds of channels on TV. We have, if you have children in normal times, you'd have sports games and everything like that. It's just crazy how much involvement we have and how much we have things to take our time. And I got thinking the other day, what did my parents do to take up all their time? And I could not think what the heck they could do to try it. And so I decided I needed to research that. And since I couldn't ask them, I asked my 13 brothers and sisters what my parents did with all their time. Sorry.
All right.
He's not all there.
Mary, if you're still with us, could you give us a little preview of next week?
You're muted, Mary.
Next week is on Dean's daughter. I don't know what she does.
Great. Okay.
She's a muckety muck on
Oh
Facebook.
yeah, as Daryl said.
It's a pretty big deal with Facebook. And so she got permission for us to record it next week. So anyway, come back next week. Anyway, with that, have a great week, Sunrisers.
Great. Thank you, Daryl.
See you all later.
Bye.
Yeah, Octave.
Bye. Bye.
Hey,
Bye, Jan.